أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم.
Be surprised how much good comes from just good. In our holy book, God says, what is the reward of good except good? Yes, praise be to God.
Ecco, bisogna spalancare il cuore, rompere tutti gli argini e mettersi in cuore la fratellanza universale. Io vivo per la fratellanza universale.
Imam Dawidi Muhammad was born in 1933 and was the son of Elijah Muhammad, who was the leader of the Nation of Islam. Imam Dawidi Muhammad worked hard to bring different groups of people together and to promote understanding and equality. He also encouraged people to work for justice and fairness in society. He is an important figure in the history of Islam in the U.S., and his teachings are still relevant today. Imam Dawidi Muhammad has many followers to this day. They come together to practice their faith, serve their community, and promote understanding and equality. It's a group that promotes unity and mutual respect among different groups of people, and in the spirit of Islam, they work for the betterment of society. Chiara Lubich was born in 1920. She believed in the power of love and unity to change the world. She and her friends founded a movement in the Catholic Church called Focolare that encourages people to come together in the spirit of the gospel to work towards building a more loving and inclusive society. She was a spiritual leader who inspired many people to live their lives with compassion and love towards all. Her teachings and philosophy still inspire many people around the world today. The Focolare movement is active in over 190 countries, and it promotes unity among people of all cultures, beliefs, and religions. In 1997, Imam Muhammad invited Chiara Lubich to speak at the famous Malcolm Shabbat's Mosque in Harlem, New York. It was a very important meeting between the two leaders where they discussed their shared belief in the importance of working together to promote peace and understanding between people of different cultures and religions. They also talked about ways they and their communities could collaborate on projects and activities to help make the world a better place. That day, that they would, in the name of the one God, would work unceasingly for peace and for unity. Imam Muhammad told Chiara that the pact is made forever, that she is his sister, and that he will help her always. Their relationship continued until they passed in 2008, and today the relationship continues between their communities. Members of these communities consider each other to be family. This relationship is a witness to many people that unity and brotherhood among people of different cultures and beliefs is possible.
Peace be upon. Welcome to another edition of New Freedom Network. Peace, faith, help everyone as well. Assalamu alaikum. Hello. This is a New Freedom Network exclusive faith communities coming together around the world life. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Bilal Hassan. I am joined here with our lovely co-hosts for the evening, Sister Karen. What's up, Sister Karen? Sister Kate?
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
How are you all doing? How are you all doing?
Good to be here. I
Good,
can't
good,
believe a
good.
month has passed already since the last time, but it's good to be here. At the end of May.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Has passed. Brother Mujahideen's in motion, so I see him a little later.
Salute.
Salute. Sister Marsh having some technical difficulties, but hopefully she'll join us momentarily. But we are back live here this month's conversation, stimulating conversation around the word of life. But really quick, if everyone can just be really short and sharing how their week has been so far. Who would like to start?
I can jump in. My week has been good. As those of you who are connected last month may remember that I just moved just over a month ago to DC. So I think the last time we were connected, this time last month, I was surrounded by boxes and didn't know where any of my stuff was. So 1 month later, settled in, enjoying DC, and just really excited also just to be getting to know folks here in DC who are also interested in working for dialogue, their promotion of peace between different types of people. And so just really excited to be in DC this week. It's been a good week.
Excellent. Karen, Marsha.
Yeah. My week was really well. A good highlight is that one of my close friends, her son graduated from grade school on Wednesday, and I've known him since he was a little boy. So it was just one of those full circle kind of experiences where, you know, you were there in these milestones. And I just remember when he was a little boy and now he's 5 inches taller than me. I mean, I'm not that tall, to be fair, but but still he's taller than me and he's not even a teenager. So it was a beautiful week of just like reconnection with friends.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'll just say something real quick. When Karen just gave that reflection, this made me think of this week. My daughter, she actually got to perform at Hershey. She went to a cathedral, and then she was also at Hershey Park. I know those of you all from the Focolare community and others who supported her popcorn fundraiser. It was successful. Unfortunately, I wasn't there to get any footage, so hopefully she got some footage. So I'll see her tomorrow.
Oh, praise God.
Excellent. Lovely. It's very beautiful. We've been moving around like we normally do. At the start of the farmers market season, so here in New York, so we are vending at the farmers market here in Queens, locally, selling our gourmet prosperity pie, aka also known as the super sweet bean pie or the super sweet pie. Has been coined by one of our fellow supporters to call it that. But yes, we have the prosperity pie, the bean pie on sale, and the community loving it. Now we introduce what we call pie and a paper, where you buy 2 pies and you get a copy of the Muslim Journal for yourself. To a reading. So we're trying to promote our newspaper to the community, the greater community, not just the local community, but their community as well. So that's been going good. And also yesterday, my grandmother turned 92 years old.
Oh, congratulations!
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
What do you call your
92 years old.
grandma, Imam? What do you call your grandma, Bilal?
Huh?
What do you call your grandma? Like I call my grandma Nana. What do you call yours?
It's called Grandma.
Grandma? Okay.
I call her Grandma.
Okay, well, congratulations to Grandma.
Yeah, it's called her Grandma. You know. Yeah, so
I know what you mean.
Yeah. That's good. So that's been the week. So welcome everyone who's tuned in to the comments. Daniel is here.
Hey,
Kapara. Hope I'm pronouncing the last name right. Sister Yeah, Sister Renata is here. Brother Gary is here.
Nice.
So we have them. We have my sister is here. Khadija, she's here. One of our supporters. Always our supporter on the network.
Your sister, your blood sister?
Yeah, my blood sister. Yes, yes, yes. She's one of our biggest supporters of the platform. So we come alive. Comes Sister Marsha. Sister Marsha, assalamu alaikum. Can you hear us?
Assalam. My connection is shoddy today, but I'm gonna do the best that I can.
Okay.
We're glad that you're here.
Well, yes, we're glad you're here. We're just doing a really quick check-in. So how your week has been, just really quick before we get into the conversation. Yes. Everyone has shared.
So this week has been pretty easy. Not too much stress at work. Although work is pretty simple for me, but not too much demand, I'll say. So it's always nice to get into that season at work because the only downside to it is just like, okay, do we really have to come here 5 days a week? I think we could do 3 and 2 at home. I'll take it. But other than that, everything's been pretty good.
Yeah. So you're full-time in person, huh?
I am full-time in person, and my job is not budget on that. And it's interesting because we have healthcare, we have social services, we have Head Start. So some of those, they have to be in person, and I get it. But me, I'm like, yeah, I don't really need to be here 5 days. But we go on, so I'm thankful to have a job. There we go.
Yes. Nice. Very cool.
Absolutely. Great. Excellent. So that is everyone, and welcome to everyone here. And I'll transition to this month's reading of the Word of Life, which is centered around the theme of loving thy neighbor. Sister Karen is going to read to us today the Focolare Word of Life, and then we're going to go into the response for the Muslim version of life. We'll say that. Sister Karen, when you're ready, queued up, we can go through the Focolare Word of Life.
Okay, sounds good. So this month's Word of Life is love one another with mutual affection, outdo one another in showing honor. Let us focus especially on the aspect of fraternity and reciprocal love. Paul states that the people of the Christian community love one another because they are members of one another. They are brothers and sisters whose only debt is to one another is love. They rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. And they do not judge and they do not cause of scandal. Our existence is intertwined with the lives of other people and of the community, is a living witness to the law of love that Jesus brought to earth. This is a demanding love that reaches the point of laying down one's life for others. It is also a practical love that is characterized by the thousands of expressions of care for other people and their happiness. It leads to fulfillment and of people competing in the appreciation of one another's qualities. It is a love that looks to everyone's needs and does all of this possible to avoid leaving anyone behind. It draws us to the responsibility and active in society, culture, and political engagement. Love one another with mutual affection, outdo one another in showing honor.
Excellent. I have just come back on the screen. Can everyone hear and see me good this time?
Yeah. Your picture's pretty jumpy, but we can see you. We can hear you really well. Your picture's a little bit
jumpy.
It's a little bit jumpy, but you usually get frozen in a smile, so it's all good. You don't get frozen with a weird face. You get frozen with a smile.
Okay. That's at least that's the bright side, right? Thank
See,
you.
like right now.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I'm frozen right now.
But with a smile, you know.
Okay. Yes, we can see. Okay. All right. So that is. Thank you, Sister Aaron, for reading the Focolare Word of Life. We don't have an official response for the Muslim Word of Life, but we do like to converse a little bit around a couple of things here that was brought up. I have something that I would like to share and read quickly that could be the basis of our conversation this evening. And I have it right in front of me, so I'm going to read it now. Yes, here we go. So there's a couple of references that give reference to the object of loving thyself, doing good, especially to your neighbors and those maybe considered strangers. A lot of us don't say hello to neighbors nowadays, but we start doing so. So this is from the Quran, Surah 4, ayat 36, which is titled Anisa, which is the woman in Arabic, and translated into the woman in Arabic. It says, serve God and not any partners with him, and do good to parents, kinsfolk, orphans, those in need, neighbors who are near, neighbors who are strangers, the companion by your side, the wayfarer, and what your right hand possesses. Okay? Can everyone hear me or no? Does I sound choppy or broken up?
You're clear enough that we can understand, so we're good.
Okay, I'm just checking my sound. Okay, now I want to give one saying from the Prophet, Prophet Muhammad, and praise and blessings upon one saying from the Prophet. We can move from there. So they asked the Prophet Muhammad about the rights of the neighbor, and he answered, or he replied, the least of a neighbor's rights is that if he asks him for a loan, he should grant it to him. If he asks for help, he should help him. If he wants to borrow something from him, he should lend it to him. If he needs him to donate something to him, he should do so. If he invites him, he should accept his invitation. If he gets sick, he should go and visit him. And if he passes away, he should attend his funeral procession. That is two references. One from Surah 4, ayat 36, which is entitled The Woman in the Quran. And then we just read a saying or a quote from the Prophet when he was asked by his companions about the neighbors and their rights, what rights should be given to your neighbors. So I hope that will frame our conversation really nice this evening and addressing both the Focolare Word of Life and Muslim response of the Word of Life.
Yeah, I thought that was good, and I wanted to add a piece too, because so Bilal read from Surah An-Nisa, but I wanted to also just make note that there's a whole surah that addresses neighborly needs, Al-Mayun,
Yep.
right? And so this Word of Life brought me there, but then it also initially it brought to mind a different ayat. This is from Surah 2, ayat 148. To each is a goal to which Allah turns him. Then strive together as in a race toward all that is good. Wheresoever ye are, Allah will bring you together, for Allah hath power over all things. And the reason I brought that up is because when I heard Karen reading, and she mentioned like the striving, or like the competing to do it, to do it well, right, and to do it in the wholest of ways. And so I wanted to add that piece, because there's some similar language in the Quran about that, sort of that racing toward good. That if we're going to strive in this way, we're to strive with our whole selves and to strive not just, how we do. We do just enough, just as much as we're comfortable with, and myself included, and so we're encouraged in both scriptures to do it in a more full way. And a lot of times that takes us out of our comfort zone, right? And that's probably the biggest challenge I think that people face when we are I don't know if you can hear this noise in my background. It is party central on my street.
Happy Memorial Weekend, everyone.
I tried to go into the kitchen, but the internet in there was shoddy, so I had to come here. But I am.
No, it's all good. It's not distracting. It's
okay, good. I am in a
we feel like right now. We're going to have to come over to New Jersey system.
Yes, my neighbors take me to DR every now and again. Okay, because the music is bumping. But I think that the challenge in doing what we both just mentioned in both of the scriptures is when it takes us out of our comfort zone. It's easy to do that kind of loving of others when it feels like there's no effort to it, where I don't have to step just a little bit further than makes me comfortable. And that's kind of where these verses kick in, because it's like, okay, but you kind of gotta push. And you're like, that's too far for me. But I think that's like a continuous struggle that we just kind of have to keep going towards, because ultimately it does make you better, and then it gets easier over time, because when you're like, okay, there's something that, and it's not always a situation where something has to be repaired between you and someone else, but when it is, it's just like, okay, something has to be repaired, let's just go for it, because sitting here is just going to delay it. It's not going anywhere. So let's just go and fix it. But then outside of that is the, when it's not having to repair something between you and someone else, but just kind of extending yourself to, like Bilal said, we don't even speak to our neighbors anymore. That's like not super common. I know, here in the Northeast, somebody walking down the street, they start speaking to you, like,
you're like,
my children used to be like,
contact.
Right. My children used to be like, do you know them? And I'm like, no, but they spoke to me. But I remember like going away to school, and I went to school in DC. So Kate's now in DC. And, there's kind of, you start to feel like it get a little bit more Southern, right? And so in that zone, everybody's like, good morning, hi. I'm like, I'm gonna need y'all to leave me alone. Like, what you want? So it's the point is it's the pushing past what makes us uncomfortable to fulfill this type of loving of each other in our daily walk.
Yeah, I love that. And that's the part that struck me from this month's Word of Life too, was really the kind of like try to outdo each other. Like I said at the beginning, I just moved to DC. Some of us in the Focolare movement live like full-time in community. And I'm one of those people. And so we just set up a new community house here in the city in DC, like the city of DC. And there's 4 of us. So the 4th arrived last week. There's 4 of us living together, and we live together to really try and build unity amongst us, but then like bring that unity out where we are too. And so it's just been so interesting. The 4 of us have never lived together before. We knew each other, but we've never lived together. And so it's really like, for me, it's been such a wonderful coincidence to start this community moment at a time where we've been encouraged to outdo each other in acts of kindness and acts of love. And so you could feel it. Like we kind of made that decision together. We said, hey, this is the Word of Life for this month. Let's start this moment of community living together on that note, and you can feel it. We're all like trying to outdo each other, And so for me, part of the experience has also been, let yourself be loved. Everybody's trying to, like we decided that we're going to try and outdo each other in love. So that means you got to let people love you too, So, but it's just nice, simple, like I'm talking simple experiences, today I was supposed to cook dinner. We take turns cooking dinner, and I got caught up with something else, and got in the door, kind of running in the door, ready to kind of get dinner ready real quickly, and it was ready already, So like you can see, like, okay, like instead of making myself feel bad, like, oh, I was supposed to cook dinner. No, like we're all trying to outdo each other. Like this time they got me, tomorrow I'm gonna get them, So it's just been a beautiful, very joyful experience of really trying to see where each one is at as well. One of us is a full-time student. One of us works at a university, one at a church. So also just trying to understand each other's rhythms, what makes that person rest, what makes that person, like what gets them fired up and excited about something. So just really trying to like understand where each one is at and have that, like, that's why I like what you said as well, Sister Marcia, that like, okay, how can I, the race is on, bring it on. Let's try to really kind of go that extra mile to love each other. So it's been a beautiful way to start this particular little community here with that Word of Life. So y'all have to come over, come to DC, join us here, and find where we're at.
Yeah, we'll take you up on that invitation. Yeah, definitely, for sure. Sister Kate, thank you. Sister Karen?
Oh, sure. I think one line, I'll reread it actually from the Word of Life, that really struck me when it was talking about how do we love one another. It talks about a love that looks to everyone's needs and does all that is possible to avoid leaving anyone behind. And I love that, like the leaving anyone behind, because sometimes you think like, oh, how can I get somebody to the next step or like move people forward? But it's also like to remember to not leave anyone behind. And so this past week I had like a work event that kind of like kind of spoke to that, where we visited a nonprofit that works to provide services for people who are recently incarcerated and trying to find work and housing and reentry into society. So all of it is about this, right? To not leave anyone behind, because sometimes our system does not look out for people like that. Even something very practical, right? Like a practical love of helping people to find jobs, to find homes, right? To find a safe place, to build skills that maybe they've lost because they've just been incarcerated for so long that like technology just has advanced. And so it was a beautiful mission. It's called Leonard's Ministry in the west side of Chicago. If you're ever in Chicago, or if you're interested in that work, any of the viewers, I would suggest that you look them up. They're doing really great work. But when I was there on site and then meeting staff, meeting people, their alumni who help out people who are actually in this cohort. And then I've also met people who are going through different programs and trainings. It was just a very like a very warm feeling. You know, sometimes when you walk into a space and you can just feel the presence of people's souls. Like I felt that, like the good intention of staff, and then also the people who are going through the program, and then more importantly, also like the alumni. Like they chose to take their time to volunteer. Even though they're past a program, they could have just, continued on with life. But I think their experience, I've heard this theme that their experience was so profound that they wanted to like give back. And so it was that theme, right? To love and to not leave anyone behind, to think of your others. And so that Word of Life kind of just reminded me, even though it was a work event, I felt like it was just a beautiful cause. And it reminded me of this month's reading.
Yeah, I think that's. Oh, go ahead, Bilal.
No, that's it. That was beautiful. Excellent. Go ahead, Samar.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I just wanted to say I think that's like as I heard both Kate and Karen speak, it just reminded me of being conscious of the fact that societally those concepts are not supported. And so it just being conscious of the fact that and when we were in San Antonio, when we were speaking, I was talking about there's a download that kind of happens when we encounter people. And some of that download that happened, well, I guess all of it, right, is well, some of it. So some of it is what we receive in our homes, and some of it is what we receive from out in the society. And it all of that, some of that, or maybe all of it, doesn't always support these concepts that we are striving to live in our faith. And that also becomes part of the challenge. So even when, you know, so we're striving to sort of push past and do things for people, these acts of kindness, and do things in a very loving way. But also when you hear that, what do they call it? Like that self-talk, right? When you hear I call it the download, right? When you hear that kind of murmuring, that whisper sort of coming up, just being very intentional about countering that with these acts, but also, I guess, being kind to yourself and knowing that a lot of um, the resistance sometimes comes because of things that were put on you by what you're exposed to, and um, that just has to be something that's present in your mind. Because as I was hearing the both of you talk, and even as I reflected on what I said, it was just kind of like, sometimes I don't want to be kind, not that I want to be mean or nasty, but I may not necessarily want to have to do that extra thing.
I hear you.
And then it's kind of like, okay, well, what makes me not want to do that? And having some understanding around how I got to not wanting to do those things, and then saying, okay, I understand it's because of this, and maybe the combination of this, and that. But in spite of that, I'm going to push past, because those things that I got exposed to sort of tainted the essence of who I am, right? We come here with this blank slate, and all this stuff comes upon us. And so I just think of like somebody maybe throwing dirt or something like that over something. As you clear that stuff out and move the trash, you get what's supposed to be there. And as we're striving to do these things, when that other thing comes up and you got to kind of counter it, just being kind to yourself to know, okay, push past that. That came from somewhere, but that's not the intention of who you were created to be, right? We in Islam we say your fitra, right? That's not the base of who you are. So push past it with this kindness, with this love. And I just wanted to add that to the conversation, right? Because sometimes it's just like, okay, we can have the conversation about, yeah, do good and be kind and, love. And it's just like, all right, but sometimes there's this other piece, and you got to kind of help people to have a tool for when they're not feeling that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your tool? Did you share it with us already?
So I guess these verses are the tools, right? But I guess for me, I just was adding, maybe the tool was not the right word. It was more like,
I like tools.
Okay, but I don't know if I have it like one real tool, but it's just kind of just having this consciousness that sometimes there's not a feeling for this,
right?
And you've got to push past it to get to that good stuff, because it is good and it does feel good to be in a state where you can just be loving and kind, and you don't have to be on guard. And that you talked about it, Kate, allowing somebody to love you, because I am guilty. I am definitely guilty. I'm like, I will do everything for you. you can ask me like 12 things and I'm gonna do 14. But as soon as you start to do for me, I'm like, oh no. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I don't have an exact tool. I guess the
That's a tool.
these verses are the tools.
Right.
It's more about just being conscious that there are moments where you won't feel like doing the things that we're talking about, and understanding where that comes from for you, but then also challenging yourself to move past it.
And I think the space is a tool too. I mean, our founder, and then I'll, for Imam Bilal, you keep trying to talk and we keep jumping in. But our founder, Kara Lubick, who we saw at the beginning of the episode, the program today, she often used to say, whenever, especially like to those of us, like, so when I was growing up, she was alive when I was like a teenager. And so she used to say to us things, when you don't feel like it, or when you're, like exactly what you were saying, Sister Marcia, when you don't want to, or you want to just get into the stuff of the world and act like everybody else, then like the tool she suggested was to come back to groups, like to come back to a space like the one we're on right now, and get like re-energized to go back and love, So yeah, I'm all about tools. It's so good. Okay, Bilal, I'm gonna stop talking.
No. This is great. I do want to talk about the tools, but we are wanting others to share reflection. So if you want to share reflection, click the link in the comment section below to jump on. So we have Brother Gary here. I'm gonna let Brother Gary come share his reflection real quickly with us before I share mine.
Thank you. I think what I'm sharing has a lot to do with the things we heard from Sister Marcia and from Karen and Kate and everybody. I guess for me, the things as out to one another in showing honor, and I at first I couldn't quite figure out what this means. Showing honor was not something that came natural to me, but I figured one way of doing it to show people honor is to put my own plans aside and be ready to spend time with them when it was asked for. And one afternoon, a couple of weeks ago, there was, in our house, there's 5 of us living in the house, and we had 2 guests, so 7 people, 7 men. And one of the hardest thing is among a bunch of men is to get them to do the same activity at the same time, because everybody wants to go off and do his own thing, So we rarely managed to join something at the same time. And that afternoon, there was a proposal to travel to a lake an hour from here and walk around that lake and spend an afternoon together with these 7 of us. And at first, I mean, there were a dozen things that I could think of why I didn't want to join. I mean, I had stuff to do. I wanted to relax a bit. I wanted, would have been a perfect afternoon to do the things that I normally don't get around to. But then I said no. I gotta join, and that's one way of living the word of life, to move away from my comfort zone and embrace the interests of the other guys. And we did go on the trip, and it just was a wonderful afternoon. We had, it's just, we had time to share things with one another that we normally don't get around to. That it was a peaceful atmosphere. It was relaxing. Weather was wonderful. So it was a real beautiful afternoon, and I was thankful that I made the effort to move things out of the way and join them. So that was one experience on the Word of Life I had. Thanks for listening.
No, that's great. Thank you, Gary, Brother Gary, for sharing with us your experience with the Word of Life and application. I think that when we talk about honor, you mentioned the term honor, and you weren't too familiar with how to describe honor in this case or in this circumstance, as we were reading in our scriptures, which are words of life in them. We believe those wholeheartedly, that our scriptures are the word of life for us and for mankind as well. Honor, it reminds me of another verse actually that talks about the children of Adam. or the descendants of Adam, Prophet Adam, may he be peace be with him, upon him, that God says that He created all of us, and with honor, all of us in honor, and that we should give that honor to each other, no matter what race, color, creed, ethnicity, whatever the case may be. Everyone has been created with honor and with that dignity, like Adam is created in that mode. So I think that's what that's talking about, that verse, or that particular segment of that verse, and kind of also connects to what we were reading from the Quran and from the prophet, in probably where he was asked about the neighbor. And actually, there's so many more I could have read, but I just pulled that one. There's so many other reference points where the prophet talked about neighbor, and actually there's another point where he compared the rights to the neighbor as showing almost the same rights to your own mother. You know, and that's on that scale of importance that we hold this person in regard. And there's another place, another story of when this person used to throw garbage at the prophet's house. Like they would just dump his garbage in front of the prophet's house, right? For whatever reason. It wasn't a Muslim. I forget what race, religious background was, a Christian or a Jew, but he would just throw trash in front of the prophet's house, right? And after a while, this person stopped throwing trash at the prophet's house, or stopped leaving his trash in front of the prophet's house. And the prophet asked him, he said, you know, what happened to such and such? It's like, we don't know. One person said, oh, he's sick. He's in the hospital. He's not doing too well. I mean, he's bedridden. He's sick. So the prophet actually went over to the person's house who was dumping trash in front of his house and actually prayed for him. This is a person who was dumping his own trash in front of the prophet's house, who, you know, everyone was trained to be someone of respect. This is the prophet. You should respect the person's house, you know, all this stuff. But this person was just dumping the trash from his house, and he took it upon himself to live out what we just read about. If someone is sick, you go visit them. As soon as you hear about it, you make your effort to go visit the person who's sick. And he didn't know this person like that. It was someone in the community or whatever, didn't know them like that. He went over there and he prayed with them. These are some of the very simple things that sometimes we forget because we're in the hustle and bustle of the society. You know, we've been somewhat programmed to not say anything, or to not do these things. Oh, no, don't do that. No. Just worry about yourself. Be in a race for yourself. Be in a race for yourself. That's it. And not forget about community. We forget about community with our common unity and expression when we do and participate in a race all that is good. And we're not just racing for ourselves. We're actually racing with the community. We're racing towards that common unity, or that common interest, or that common goal that we all have.
Beautiful. Thank you, Bilal.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I think of it too as like medicine. I mean, you just said too, Bilal, that it's not commonplace for us to do these things. Again, going back to like what's the society that we kind of live in, right? And so I think of these scriptures as medicine, you know, to kind of balance the equation, right? To get us to that consciousness of community, because there are so many messages around us that are about individual and about personal success, and you know what gets you and yours to where you and yours needs to be, but function in this community setting. And you know, I do in the Quran it talks about being nations and tribes, different nations and tribes, so that we may get to know each other, right? And so we're in a common experience with each other, and having that common experience and not connecting with each other in the common experience almost feels like a little kind of, you know, if you think about it, it's a little kind of robbery too, right? Because like we do connect, like you live next door to me, so we connect because we live on this street, right? So the very least I could do is say hello, or you know, something's in front of your door that maybe shouldn't be there, I can pick it up and throw it in the trash, that kind of thing. You know, I'm just making up stuff, but those things that we're common to, right? I work with you. I noticed, oh, I was in the kitchen the other day at work, and I had some popcorn, and one of the women said, "Oh, that smells good." And I'm like, "Do you want some?" Like, I have a whole box in there. Just being open to extending yourself. And I think at first too, doing it in ways where it is comfortable for you gets you to the point where when it gets uncomfortable, it doesn't feel so hard, right? Because the practice is in the things that you are comfortable with doing. You're like, okay, I can do this little bit, so let's go ahead and like practice doing the little bit, because when that bigger thing comes, it may not feel so daunting to extend it and stretch yourself.
Yeah, I meant that.
It's not always easy. So it's not always easy.
No. And that's why we're here.
Right.
But I love that, like extending community, fostering community in places where there might not be, because of what society throws at us. And I wonder if that's a good, if that's a good segue to kind of do a shout out before we wrap up our show tonight, our program tonight, to do a kind of a teaser for what's going to come over the next month. Is that, what do you think, guys? Is this a good time to kind of to do a bit of a teaser?
Go for it.
Go for it.
So we've been talking spontaneously tonight. A lot has come up about society and how it's often challenging in society, and how society is, how the way we're programmed. Somebody else was talking about being programmed. I think that was you, Bilal. And so we, at the beginning of this year, this calendar year, and we met with a group of teens and young adults and kind of asked them what they're interested in, like what they would like to see on this space, on this platform. And they also spoke about the challenges in living out their faith in society, where they're at, all of the challenges that we've been kind of alluding to here. But they were really underlining that this kind of space is something they would really appreciate, to be able to talk about all of the things that happen in society that are challenging to them too, and how to live out their faith there. And so in response to that conversation with these teens and young adults, we, starting in June, we're going to have our usual reflection on the Word of Life. And that's going to take a smaller portion of the program. And then the second half of the program, each time we meet, we're going to talk about another hot topic in society. That a lot of them are topics that our teens and young adults suggested to us when we met with them. And some of them are topics that are just like I said, hot topics out there that everyone's talking about. And so we're really excited to start the series off with a conversation about artificial intelligence. So in June, that's what our conversation is going to be about. Bilal, I saw you turned your mic on. What's going through your brain? What's happening?
It's just going to be great. It's going to be a great conversation, because it is the future. The future is now, as they say. We're in this, and we're not going. It's not going nowhere. AI, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, Google has a version now of almost the same thing. So we're not leading this tech boom that we're in, and this infrastructure that's being built. However, what we want to talk about is the ethics around artificial intelligence, and the moral responsibility, but more so the moral responsibility that needs to be talked about as well. And that we're going to talk about both sides, or all that whole spectrum of what is AI, but also what is the responsibility for the user, because we're using it. it's a program, the way to use the program, but we want, and how do we use it, so we have a couple of people bringing up guest speakers or guest panelists on here that will very much talk to each topic of artificial intelligence and guide us through this conversation. We can have a nice balanced conversation around it, and we can hear everything that is said about it and any of the other hot topics for coming out of that.
Mm-hmm. And really, what I would encourage any of you who are following the program tonight, like I said, it's an idea that came from our teens and young adults. So if there's teens and young adults that who may be interested in hearing about how this interfaces with our faith life and how we as believers can live in this beautiful but complex world, invite them to watch the program, to follow the program, and share the link with them.
Yes, and more information forthcoming on as well. Yes.
Great.
We're excited for that, and we're excited to touch some of these hot topics because we can't be scared to touch it. As I'm saying, this is what our children are dealing with, and what their children is going to be dealing with. Or in fact, even more, who knows? But the reality is that these issues are not going nowhere, and we can't say no. We can't just simply say no to our children. No. What does that mean? What do you mean no? That's why Charlie's using ChatGPT, or such and such is doing this, such and such is doing that. So we have to get an explanation that makes that addresses where we are in terms of our faith. And that makes them comfortable and confident, more so confident and comfortable, but confident in that they won't feel left out of anything, because it's this left out feeling that a lot of the young people feel because the faith is, could be considered a restriction for them, which is not what we want to give off restriction. We don't want to give that presentation of a restriction. Faith does not restrict us, and actually gives us a lot of expression and room for expression. It's just how we apply it, how we use it, and how and the ways that we can do it and be presentable and be humble about it, be dignified about it. So that's why we want to have these conversations, because it's very important that we hear from the people of faith on these issues of these topics, because right now it's desperately needed.
Yeah, I'm excited to have the conversation. It wasn't something that was something that I run towards to have a conversation about. I'm kind of like, what is this? But as I think about it, it just brings to mind for me, I guess. And maybe it's because I'm a parent. I'm not sure. I'll figure that part out. But it does have me wondering how it impacts integrity, right? And so Bilal just talks about our faith and our children and it feeling like restriction. And I think some of that, not just here with AI, but also with other things, it's about but particularly with AI, right? It's about how far away from integrity does it take you? Because I'm thinking, if you had to write a paper, but you use ChatGPT to, construct it, is that really you? Are you, are you cheating? It makes me think of children using their full potential or coming to their full potential with all these different aids that they have in this whatever's to come with AI. And I'm the first to tell you I don't know a bunch about it, but I'm just if something is doing what feels like all the work, then how far are you stretching your creativity and your abilities to achieve? So it should be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, but
excellent.
Forward to it.
Yeah, Gary.
Sounds great. Yeah, we're looking forward to it next month.
Great. Excellent. Yes, we have come up to the end of our show tonight. See how time goes by so fast, guys. You said 30 minutes. Almost been on for an hour, but but it was a great conversation centered around the words of life, and love thyself, or loving thy neighbor, and showing humility to others. Hopefully, somebody here got something out of this conversation, this exchange here, and we hope that, pray that we all take something and actually put it into action in our daily life, as far as application is concerned, because we can talk here and have a great conversation, but the next step is that it obligates us. It obligates us to actually get out and actually practice it. And that's why we're having these conversations, is to have this support group be our tool for us to remind us on the screen, those who see us on the screen, remind us, but also to remind you. So to get out there and actually live it. So then, you can come back next week or next time and share with us, oh, this is what I lived. This is how I lived it. We would like those stories too, because we take for granted this time that we spend in this space together. We don't want to, miss out on opportunities to get more blessings from God and be on the favor of God as well. So thank everyone for tuning in tonight in this discussion, participating in the discussion. Thank you so much. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, New Freedom XChange with X, and like us on Facebook, New Freedom XChange, and New Freedom Network as well on Facebook and YouTube. And until next time, until next month, God willing, we go in peace as we came in peace, and give you the peace and blessings, the universal greetings of Assalamu alaikum, and we will see everyone next month.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Legacy, brothers and sisters, let's celebrate. Legacy, Muslim Journal, 60 years today. Legacy, our history, our perspective, our way. Legacy, Islam is our path, success away. Legacy, visit muslimjournal.net on Legacy, text sponsor the 999. Legacy, 999. Legacy, muslimjournal.net online. Legacy, brothers and sisters, let's celebrate. Legacy, Muslim Journal, 60 years today. Legacy, our history, our perspective, our way. Legacy, Islam is our path, success away. Legacy, visit muslimjournal.net on Legacy, text sponsor the 999. Legacy, 999. Legacy, muslimjournal.net online.